You have questions, we have answers. This is Jane Muller.
And this is Ken Muller. Welcome to our show, all about real estate with Ken and Jane. Returning as our special guest today, we have Jason Kaplan, the president of Kaplan Builders. Jason, thank you for coming back to our show again.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So let's continue where we left off last week. We kind of spoke about the rich history of Kaplan. I think as of 2024, you guys have been in business for 72 years, right?
Right.
So that's congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was quite a milestone. We were
not only in
celebrating,
business, but thriving, and you're very proud of all your buildings.
Yes, I'm third generation. I actually have a niece working for me, so we're
going on
the fourth generation.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is great. Do you know roughly like how many square feet you guys have built your footprint? I mean, in rough numbers.
Yeah, in rough numbers, I think we once calculated that in New Jersey, we have built some stuff out of state, but I think in New Jersey, somewhere over, I think the last count was over 35,000. It's homes, townhomes, apartments, and sort of every facet on the residential side. On the commercial, a few million square feet. Our background's been residential, so that's what we've always focused on.
Right. And primarily your geographic scope has been New Jersey, most North Jersey, Central,
Yeah,
South.
we actually do. I would say, the dominant amount of our portfolio is New Jersey, but we built in New York, Pennsylvania. We own properties in Maryland, in Georgia, and in Texas. But yeah, the bulk of our development is in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's so let's go to the. If anybody missed last week's show, you can please tune in on our YouTube. They can learn about the historical rise of Kaplan and all the obstacles your grandfather and father overcame to establish the business. But let's move to since 2005, you've been the president of the Kaplan Builders. So
yes,
it's been
it's been quite a ride. So I finished school back in '96. I went to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. So I studied real estate. I had it in my blood. I was sort of born and raised with in my DNA. So I remember negotiating with my father in my last year of college, saying, I'm talking to investment banks, and he said, "Have at it, but I'll pay you $30,000 a year. You're going to be sweeping out basements, but you're going to learn the business from the ground up, and you can sit with me in the afternoons after you run this job to really embrace it, understand it, and understand all the nuances of it." So I've been working at the family business since '96. After I guess about 10 years or so, my father recognized the passion and everything I had for the business, so he elevated me to president of the company. He still remained as CEO and chairman, so he was still super active in the company. But I've sort of raised it. It was an interesting time too, as the market, the early to mid 2000s, we saw a rise of the for sale market, and we were focused on it. We were building condos all over New Jersey in kind of urban areas like Perth Amboy and Carteret to suburban developments in South Brunswick and all over Middlesex. We were kind of spread throughout the state. I would say everywhere from Burlington up to Bergen County, building about 500 units per year in every form of condo, townhome, and for sale. And then '06, we started seeing a slowdown in the market. I kind of recognized it just in our sales office. I saw sales, deteriorating, and it was, I guess they didn't really call the slowdown till '07, but we knew it just because I think there was a 1-year lag because people had bought and were waiting for deliveries. So I sort of took a step back. I looked at where the market was, and I said, this is probably going to slow down. We saw Wall Street meltdown and the bank meltdown, and we're like, this is probably going to take a couple years. So we're going to focus on building rentals because financing was still there, and some of our product was easy to convert from condos to rentals, and fortunately it was a good choice for us. So I've really taken the focus of the company over those last 15 years or so into multifamily rentals. We still do build for sale product. We just finished a community in South Brunswick, and we're breaking ground on a community in North Brunswick of a few homes. But the focus over the last few years have just been multifamily and in sort of that I call it working class level product where it's new. We put the high end finishes, all the amenities at the luxury things, luxury multifamily builds, and I similarly to my father, I try to bring innovative product from around the country here and unique, and we design each product for each unique piece of land. But it's given us the opportunity to continue to grow as the market was still soft through 2007 till I guess a few years ago.
But talk about also the challenges of building affordable rental housing, and given that the rise of materials, I guess in the last 4 years, after COVID, the supply chain shortages. So that's something that just came to my mind. And yet you want to deliver that product that's an affordable rental unit, but you've got to balance that with your costs and then making a profit because you have to make money to stay in business.
On top of the new regulations that the state comes out with, the shortages of permitting and all the other challenges that come along with it. So it has become a challenge. Fortunately, I look at it as a long-term investment. So we're not looking at it, from how much does it cost to build to how much does it cost to flip. With a long-term vision to it, I can look at the economics a little bit differently because I know that we're going to hold for hopefully my kids and my grandkids no differently than my grandfather did. So the rental properties that he built back in the 70s, we've been able to, it's kind of gotten us through the ups and downs of the market. So that was what I was trying to do by building up that portfolio of operating properties. It's not only multifamily, but includes we've been building self-storage, other commercial properties and other stuff. So as we build for sale market and the market goes up and down, we still have income generating to keep the company thriving and moving through the different ups and downs of the real estate cycle.
Right. Sort of, you do your own property management, or you have some of your family. You have a group that's a full time.
Yeah, so we do the full gamut of real estate development. Yeah. From we find the property, we bring it through the entitlement process, which is a challenge and a high risk in New Jersey, and then we construct ourselves. We don't have electricians and plumbers on staff, but we subcontract out that. But we manage the whole construction process, and then whether if it's a for sale product, we have sales staff on site that sell it, and then if it becomes an operating property, we do have the staff that manages it and operates it and maintains it and holds it. Like I said, we build to a better quality because it's for us and we know we're going to hold. So a lot of people have noticed that the quality of the product is better, and we said it's a bigger investment up front, but it saves us money over the long run. So we've made that conscientious decision to use better materials, whether it's roofing, kitchens, or flooring, and that will let the assets really survive for a longer period.
Yeah. I think one thing I learned about your company, right, is very environmental focused.
Yeah.
So I was so moved when I learned you guys built the Hidden Lake in North Brunswick. Not even one tree being cut.
Oh,
that's hard to do if you don't cut one tree. So that's really a big factor.
Yeah, I think my father was into ESG and the environmental stuff before it became fashionable. He didn't. I think his vision was he saw that by clustering development and people didn't. There was no difference if somebody had a half acre versus a 2 acre, you weren't building a bigger house. So he thought he would, part of it was also to save money on some of the roads and improvements and stuff like that. But what you could do is preserve more green space and open space. So it's always in our minds. So.
He was very progressive for his generation,
Absolutely.
both with that and the affordable housing.
Yes.
And it's in your DNA now too, with building those rental units and making them high quality. And
I think it was part of the time. I think growing up during the Kennedy administration and that liberal sort of, just thinking about all that, I think really, created an image in his head, and I guess I have it in my head also. No different than as we name all of our new communities Camelot. There's something about that, Kennedy liberalism and everything that sort of kind of runs through us.
And your dad graduated college around the early 60s when Kennedy was president.
Yeah, big influence. My initials are JFK, I think it was.
You look a little, you resemble his junior a little, right?
Yeah, sure. My people stopped my mom on the street because they thought she was Jackie O. So something to it.
There you go. There is something to it. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So nobody has a crystal ball, but how does it look? How does the residential market look in your mind, in your opinion, for this year, 2024?
In New Jersey, I think is unique to the rest of the country. If I pay a lot of attention to all the online news sources and all the trends and stuff, and everybody's a little iffy. What we've seen in New Jersey is that the market is so undersupplied that I believe there's going to be constant demand. I mean, it's relative to the interest rates, but what we've seen on the for sale side is there's such small inventory on the market that if the hardest part is being able to deliver a product that's affordable. That's what we see really as the challenge. I think everything gets absorbed, but you can't build, $2 million homes because there's only a certain market that can absorb that or wants to buy it. So, the challenge is, I think, really building homes that are affordable. Same thing on the rental, as you mentioned. Just, we would love to build rentals that are, affordable to the mass public. The problem is between the regulations, the cost, the delays, and the risks, and the interest and everything else that you pay, it just adds so much cost, and it makes it difficult to make the economics work and make it financeable.
Right.
So we see that on the huge demand. I think with interest rates sort of, with the Fed and everything trending down, we just see that continue to improve more. I think what we've seen on the for sale side is people have mortgages that are in the 2-3%, so they don't want to trade. Yeah, there's no motivation to sell unless you have a life event where there was a death, a marriage, or something creating a new need demand for it. So the problem is you don't have any supply in the resale market, so it's just kind of creating a unique,
or maybe a cold winter like we're experiencing now. That might trigger some of the people to migrate south. But right, it has to be some motivation.
So, yes, Otherwise, everyone's going to say
they're not going to sell and then pick up a mortgage.
Right.
Everybody their current rates.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Everyone's just looking at their monthly payment, and they're like, "What can I get if I sell this?" And it just doesn't make sense. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think,
Jane, you see this. I'm sorry that I just
I totally agree, because as you said, Jason, there's no motivation, not much motivation out there, unless you want to see your grandchildren. You have to move out of the state. But otherwise, as you can see, recent years, a lot of home already sold. So,
what we've seen actually is we built in North Brunswick a age-restricted rental project, Amaranth, and it created a lot of these people saw the rise in values, and they wanted to take their cash off the table. So it wasn't a circumstance where they were moving from a low interest rate to a high interest rate. They were basically taking their money, moving on, and moving into a rental community that was highly amenitized. So we built like a luxury community with tons of amenities, lots of space, and there was a more of a lifestyle to it, so that everybody in there was age-restricted, so it was unique. So I think you'll have some projects like that may motivate some people. I know a lot of the people were from North Brunswick, East Brunswick area, so that may have created some of the supply in the market. 5 or
6 hour client went your place.
I
recommend. I told them go 130.
Yeah. They're not ready to move out of New Jersey, but they want to capitalize on the high market.
Yes.
So what they want to do, they want to sell their house, but they need a place to go. So what do they need to do? They want to rent, but they want to. A lot of the clients, they want to rent something that's high quality and comfortable. They don't want to go rent an old
and
unit.
that was my thought process behind it. It creates some flexibility for them too, so that they're not tied into they don't make that reinvestment where they're, oh my God, if they change their mind in 6 months, we're not doing short-term leases, but 1 year they can usually come into.
I mean, less than 12 months, we have at least 5 or 6, maybe more than 6 families move into your facility.
Great.
they sold a house in East Brunswick, Monroe, North Brunswick, sold their home. So they move in.
Now.
I always told them. So I told them to go there.
Yeah, it's very localized.
130. It's very close to our house. So I said, let's go 130.
Yes.
It has a very low vacancy right now.
We have no vacancy. Yeah, it's unique. And when I was designing it, it was funny. I said, it's not the first product of its kind, but it's Amaranth at North Brunswick, and historically, senior rentals, they look more like assisted living or have very traditional. We built it and it's super modern looking.
Oh, yeah.
I had like a W hotel kind of in mind. Yeah. So let's build something real.
They had a garage, they have everything. It's really nice.
Yeah. I figured the people that qualify for it now are, in their 50s, 60s, it's not.
They're selling.
They want something new, hip, and cool, and it's not. Right. Doesn't feel like you're living in like an old age home. So.
Wow, definitely.
Satisfy the need. That's great. All right, we'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after these messages. Okay, welcome back. So let's continue talking about this high rental lifestyle development.
A lot of my clients love it. They love it. So there was like at least 6+ families went there. They as you said, it's like a luxury living. It's
a lifestyle change. You can't. It's not for everybody. Not everybody can move out of their single family house that they've had forever, and you can't fit your 20-foot giant dining room table in there, and it's not, if you love entertaining tons of people, not for you. And you have to, we call it de-junking. You have to take your house and throw out all of your junk. You can either throw in the garbage or your self-storage or
storage. Right. Well, that's why self-storage has a big demand now too.
That's part of the reason that we got into the self-storage as well.
Yeah. But I have to say, when people move on to another chapter of their life, they don't want entertaining. They don't want to, the big house and they worry about. They want to free. They want to experience life. They want to travel.
It gives you flexibility.
Yeah.
You're not tied down to the real estate, and it gives you. We have like I said, our on-site staff there. That if you do go down to the south for a couple months a year, we just check just to make sure there's no issues or anything in there.
Or any leaking or anything. Yeah. And does this complex have like a great room, a common communal area?
Yeah,
like
tons of
room so that you can entertain. That's the whole point. If people want to entertain, they could probably rent out. Or
we do. We actually did it's not. We don't serve food or anything like that, but we do have like a communal a demonstration kitchen area, and we've brought chefs in that will do cooking. We have a lot of community events there, so we'll bring in chefs for demonstration. They'll have Sunday brunches. We do have a big club room for they'll have the Super Bowl Sunday events there, and pool outside, and bocce ball and fire pits, and you name it, and giant gym. And,
it's very similar. So it reminds me of the Waterford in East Brunswick. That's a much smaller scale. They have the outdoor pool. They have the great room. They have the.
But this one's better.
This is much more modernized with the garage.
Yeah.
It's a different.
It's lifestyle focused. It's people that are trading in their single family, but trading in the maintenance, the headache, the space for they're living in it, and a lot of the people. Aren't working. So it's unique for us because we've never had that many people that are just kind of hanging around all day long. So it's been interesting for my staff. We've gotten a whole learning experience out of it also.
And there's a gym. I'm sure there's a nice fitness area.
Oversized. We oversized everything just to make it. We knew that it would get used. It wasn't just for show.
Fantastic.
So we're actually we were just actually approved in North Brunswick for the next phase. So we'll be building additional units there hopefully later this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On adjacent land.
It's
just continue on there.
Yep.
That's
fantastic.
wonderful. Yeah.
Feedback is great.
Yes.
A lot of, as I said, a lot of our clients when they're there, they love it.
Happy to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So why don't we turn to the commercial market? If you want to talk about since you became president in 2005, what the ups and downs and challenges you faced with the commercial development.
Sure. So thankfully we haven't had too much office space, which that's been the biggest challenge since COVID and the work from home movement and all that. So we don't really focus on that, but we do have a fair amount of retail, which I know the retail market's had some hits with Amazon, but we're still a big believer in retail. The retail that we have is typically stuff that you can order online, whether it's services, restaurants, drugstores, or and what we focus on are like AAA credit tenants. So we just completed a Popeyes and a White Castle, and I've driven past the place and seen lines down the street for people to get there. So they're still super popular and doing well. On the other side, I mentioned before is we focused the last few years on self-storage. We saw as the multifamily market grew, there was a big demand for people to put all their stuff away. And it's whether it is kids moving away for college or people living in multifamily, that there was a big demand, and so far we've seen that we met the market pretty well. We're being cautious with it. It's an easy product to overbuild because it's not as the towns aren't as reluctant. Whereas if I went in for multifamily, there's a lot of pushback from the towns. It's very difficult to get it entitled and approved. So you see it undersupplied. The self-storage, I could see it getting overbuilt pretty quickly because it's a good tax rateable for towns, and there's nothing stopping more from being built. So we're just being cautious about building more. So we're still, and then we do also have some distribution warehouse space that we haven't built the giant, Class A ones that you see, along 8 in the Turnpike. Ours are some of them we've acquired just over the time, like I said, to for constant cash flow. The B properties, which are all at 100% occupancy. The market still where industrial rent was flat for decades, and there was all of a sudden, I guess, with the Amazon, that kind of Amazon effect and online buying, I guess what all these retailers realize that it's much cheaper to rent industrial space than open up a retail or stores in the mall where you have to pay staff and this and that. They can kind of cover all that. So I guess it backfilled into distribution, and from what we've seen, there's still a ton of demand. It softened up last year and rent stabilized, but from what I've seen and read, I think the occupancies are still really strong across the state. Yeah,
and they said that the industrial has become the new retail,
right?
And the rates are
pushing
indicative
up.
of that too,
right.
where the rates
pretty much a retail.
And you're exactly right.
Central
Over the last 3-4 years, the industrial rates went up.
Yeah,
exponentially.
from the mid '80s until the 10 years ago, $5 to $10 was just kind of.
We even had a warehouse in back. What was it now? We're in 2024. Back less than 20 years ago, and the rates were $5, $6.
It was depending.
They were all triple net, but still,
it was
maybe $8, $9.
$5 to $10 per square foot, and also in that same space is $30.
Yeah, I just leased a big client last year, a huge client of a big space up in North Jersey, 62,000, and their rate was well, in the upper teens.
Teens.
You're talking a huge space too.
But that's right. That's probably like for the triple A space. It's even.
This was an old facility too.
Right, but that's what happened. It's new spaces.
The new spaces were newer. They're asking
pushed up
in the low 20s. Right. They're asking, or guidance is.
But it's still way less expensive than getting retail. Retail space was pushing 30 and
right, and depending where in Marlboro,
tiny.
It depends. It's all over.
Correct.
Right. It could be 30, 35, 40.
Correct.
Triple net, depending what area you're in. So it's
correct, and you don't need the visibility. You just need the easy location to get to a highway.
Right.
Or not. It's even less highway now. They're calling it the last mile, where you're seeing industrial sort of infilling because Amazon wants to be at your door within a few minutes. So it doesn't have to be where it used to be on the highways to access to the turnpike. Now it could just may be a little infill site on a small area of any township.
Yeah, speaking about that, we've had experiences and also with clients that have advised that they put an order in on a Sunday morning and by the afternoon it's delivered because the warehouses are literally in your backyard now.
It's incredible.
So it's incredible. You talk about it's a speedy service.
Yeah.
That's very useful, like a busy mom like me. My daughter forgot to order something, and when I got home 10 o'clock and said, Mommy, I forgot, I need it. So ordered it, second day they will be there. So.
And I have Amazon at my door every day, and I
I
thought that there was a
yell at your wife and you say, what are you doing?
It's like there's not a minute that I don't see a charge, and I said, you're paying such a premium, and she showed me that it's actually cheaper buying it from Amazon than walking into the store. It's incredible.
And so that gets back to the challenge with retail. And I think you pointed out correctly that the retail that's really moving is more the food industry. That's
service.
A lot of
they call like experiential, like
maybe the UPSs and the things that do the packaging, things that you physically have to do, but gyms and things,
food,
right? Yeah. So you have to be careful, like what if you take on a retail project.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the vacancy, you have to look at the demographics,
the strength of the tenant, and we've seen like daycares are actually, the high demand for those in certain areas that, where the townships don't provide a nursery or you have areas where that there's dual income earners, both parents are working and there's a need for daycares. So, that I think is going to be a growing demand also in New Jersey.
Right. East Brunswick, last few years, we had so many.
We have so many that sprung up, even newer ones that built on Cranberry Road.
Yeah, last 3-4 years.
Plus all the other ones.
Yeah, it's become very competitive.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, but I guess the market has enough. There's enough to absorb these.
Seems to be so. Yeah, I'm not an expert in it. We've spoken to a few operators. Some operators are good. Some operators are national. So you have to be careful. And I mean, you're sending your kid there, so every parent is going to be very discerning about what the school offers. And there's differentiations of between each ones and the philosophy as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Totally agree.
Yeah, and you mentioned you have some warehouse, some developments. Are those in northern Jersey? Or
mostly, actually, central and not South Jersey. Maybe like Trenton Market, around exit 7A, which is
it could be serviced by the Philly area.
Yeah, it's strong. It's sort of that seems to be a secondary market to the 8A, where 8A is really strong. The people that kind of got priced out of there get pushed towards
a little bit less.
Yeah, Trenton's always been like the cheaper market, but it's
still up.
It's gone up. Seems like every industrial piece has just gone up in value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which is good in a way, right? As long as you have the tenants in there, you have a long-term stability.
That's what we've always focused on. Residential. It's funny. I learned in school that there's always a need for residential, and if you have an empty space, you can always give away free rent and fill it up. With industrial and office, if there's not a tenant, you can give it away for free, and you may not get somebody in there. So while we sort of add to our portfolio with industrial, and it is a growing market, it's a little scary when you have one tenant in there and they move out. So our primary focus really
and the industrial land has gotten so expensive now.
Crazy.
It's at a premium when I look at pricing. housing
Yeah,
in
100%.
even the Brunswick area, North Brunswick, New Brunswick.
Yes.
The price per acre for zoned industrial I-1 is just outrageous. you
Yes.
know. And I guess there's such a demand for truck parking. I've had so many clients looking, to park trucks.
Interesting.
Just that's so even just the land itself is so valuable. Forget
Yes.
about the putting up the building. You're lucky. The land, you have to invest a considerable amount of money just to acquire the space
to park. Interesting.
Yeah. So, well, we're out of time again. It went so fast.
Great.
But, thank you so much, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
For coming on our show. It's been our pleasure. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.